Hello, dog lovers and daddy-daughter duos coming to you from Burbank, California. This is the Film vs. Film podcast, Season 5. My name is Quinn Boys. I've exacted revenge over a dozen times in my life, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Season 4 winner, and back-to-back champion, Leonard Smith Jr. What's up, Leonard? Welcome to Season 5, man. Did I do that enthusiastically enough?
If there could have been a little bit more enthusiasm, but if you didn't
say anything
do it right,
about enthusiasm. You just said I had to say
I would have came for that ass.
That's true.
You know
That's true. You did not mention enthusiasm.
Yeah, I did.
If you want enthusiasm, you got to stipulate it, Leonard.
All right. You know what? If you haven't realized already, this episode is about revenge, and I know Quinn wants revenge on me for tapping that ass 3 times in a row.
Can we say something different? Can we say a different way to say that you beat me than you tap my ass?
Hey, I spanked that ass 3 times in a row.
Clap the cheeks.
I clapped those cheeks 3 times in a row.
Let's keep tapping that ass. I'm seeing it can get worse.
But nah, we got a fun episode today. The prompt is revenge, and it was selected by our guest, the hilarious stand-up comic. He's got a special on Netflix on the comedians, Brian Simpson. What's up, Brian?
No, season 3 of the Standups.
It's the stand-ups. God damn it. Yeah, my bad.
Well, you did just hit a bowl before this.
Yeah, and if you are a listener of this podcast, you know I always fuck up intros. So I think that's my thing. So, anyways,
Quinn,
the stand-ups.
Quinn, you've exacted revenge a dozen times?
Yeah. I mean, some of them are low-level things. Like if I get cut off in traffic, I'll just follow.
What do you do?
I'll just follow that guy home and sneak into his house in the middle of the night. I'm just saying I'm not killing everybody. I find my ways and I get my revenge and I go about my business.
Oh, yeah. I love petty revenge.
Yeah, petty revenge.
Who doesn't
is
love petty
more
revenge?
Fulfilling.
Yeah, the little get backs, the little come up in.
Honestly, before, when you lived in earlier times where there wasn't all this things to distract you and to entertain you, all you had was pettiness and revenge. All you had was gossip and pettiness to get you through the day.
Because I'm from a generation where your parents wasn't always on your side. You go run in the house crying, and the first thing my parents would ask me is, "What did you do to them?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you're like, "Oh, I slapped him in his face," but it was like, "Well, that's what your ass get." You know what I'm saying? That's what your ass get was a phrase I've heard 1,000 times before the age of 10.
That's what your ass get. Yeah.
Mama, I fell off the swing and hurt my shoulder. What you what? What was you doing on the swing? I was riding and standing up. That's what your ass get. So I've been obsessed with revenge from a young age. I love when people get what's coming to them. I love when it's elaborate and well planned and executed.
I was gonna say this as always the guest picks the prompt and Leonard and I pick the films. So we're gonna talk about our films for sure. But I am interested right off the bat, Brian. Is it because of your upbringing? What made you interested in revenge as a topic, but also as a movie prompt?
Oh no, man! I just loved it. I think when I first read Count of Monte Cristo, and it's just the idea of your enemies just sleeping on you, and not knowing that it's like if you give me one thread, he spent all that time in prison planning his revenge. He was like, if I just get one out, I'm gonna get all these motherfuckers.
All right, and speaking of, he's talking about Odaisu. We haven't revealed our movies yet, but we might as well go ahead and reveal them now.
Triumph. Yeah.
We are doing revenge films, and Quinn chose
John Wick,
and I chose Oldboy. If you're not familiar, if you're listening, you're mostly all probably familiar with John Wick. We all know John Wick. Oldboy is a 2003 Korean film. There is a remake that Spike Lee did in 2011.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, we don't. I've actually never watched it. I refuse to watch it.
Don't.
But Oldboy. I'll go ahead and start talking about Oldboy. Oldboy is man. Oldboy is a very interesting, intricate revenge film. It's about Odaisu, who is a drunken father. You're introduced to him in a jail holding. He's drunk as fuck, not the best father. And then randomly, this motherfucker just disappears. He gets snatched. And he is imprisoned, and he doesn't know why. He's not in a correctional facility. He is in some random ass holding cell.
It's like in a motel. like
a
the worst
motel.
motel that you can't leave the room. Yeah.
And he's been there for years and years and years, and he doesn't know why. He gets gassed, and they shave him, and they clean him up. We later find out he's getting hypnotized while he's in there. And his whole goal is to get out of this motherfucking prison and to find who did this and why. And he's planning his escape. And then one day they just let his ass go. They let him go.
They let him go right when he was about to bust out.
He was about to break out.
Yeah.
Like
so,
he has.
So they you left out the part where like they would feed him from this Chinese restaurant that was nearby. And one day they gave him an extra chopstick. So he hid it. And when he wasn't being watched, he would move his bed and scrape the little white shit between bricks. He would scrape that shit on his brick wall, and one day he knocked out a brick. You know?
And while he's also planning his escape, he is also training, and he is just punching the wall. He's drawn a figure of a person on the wall, and he is beating the shit out of his figure. His knuckles are just fucking covered in the thickest calluses, and he's ready to
for the rest of the movie,
ass.
he has like pancake knuckles, and it's gross. I mean, there's lots of gross shit in that movie, but like I like that. Like he's just got these hard, calloused, probably flattened knuckles because he's just been punching a wall for 15 years.
wall, and he hopes that his training in this motel room alone will translate to fighting outside, and man, does it. But he's planning his escape. He gets out, and he realizes that someone has been playing a game with his life. And he's released. He meets this lady working at a sushi restaurant. Things happen. She's weird. He's weird. They fall in love. He's trying to figure it out. This person reveals themselves, and they're slowly playing games with him. And the whole game is, why did I do this to you? And we eventually find out why. We can talk about that later. But it's a pretty visceral experience. A pretty extreme movie, but it's a good movie. And if it's a great movie about revenge. I'll let you talk about John Wick real quick.
Okay.
Quinn.
Yeah, I'll just do the plot summary, and then we can dive into each movie a little bit more.
Your synopsis is a lot easier.
It's a lot easier.
Mine.
So John Wick is, I think it's 2014. I should have done these. Yeah, John Wick comes out. I'm going to just set the scene for the movie John Wick. It was 2015, but Keanu is kind of like the thing I like about this movie as a revenge movie is that like the character John Wick is absolutely seeking revenge, but it was a little bit of like a comeback story for Keanu. I don't think Keanu Reeves was doing that much. Keanu Reeves was dining out on the Matrix memories and stuff like that when this movie came out, and it just totally reinvigorated Keanu's career. So it feels a little bit like revenge on Keanu's part, but just like, I'm back, bitches. I'm still badass. You can still watch me kick ass. It's a very simple movie. He's a guy who was like the guy in the Russian mob. They called him the Baba Yaga. He's the boogeyman. He retires. He lives a normal life. He gets married. He has a simple life. His wife gets cancer, I believe. I don't even know how deep they go into it.
I think it's cancer.
And she dies.
Cancer.
When she dies, like a week after her funeral, when she knows that this guy, John Wick, who has no soul, he's given it all up for her, and now she's gone, so who knows what's going to happen to him. A puppy arrives on his doorstep in a little box, and it's one of the most clear like film ways to show transference that I've ever seen. So it's like now that all the affection and emotion he has for the wife are put into this dog. The last gift that she gives him from beyond the grave when that dog gets there. One day, a gangster played by Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones likes his car, decides he wants to steal it, breaks into his house, takes his car, beats the crap out of John Wick, and just for fun, snaps his dog's neck. Leaves it lying on the floor in his home so he can wake up and see his dead dog. John Wick, like most of us, I think, who've ever lost a pet, he just goes ape shit, and he decides to take down the entire Russian mafia in New York City over the course of about 100 minutes. And that's
like 2 days.
That's the movie. There's great like
it's a
very stylistic, very stream. It's so simple, and I do think when we get it, we'll talk about like I do feel like the best revenge movies are just like a sharpened knife. Now it's a very stylistic movie. But that's the plot. That's the whole That's the whole movie.
I like how Keanu brought back the sort of Steven Seagal, like I'm fighting with everything but my feet. 'Cause I can't bend over like karate shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He has a very like herky jerky like his back is always arched and he'll have the gun like right up here. Yeah, he's got a weird gung fu kind of.
It's like slower, stiff neck Batman. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, that
before they changed it up so Batman could move his head freely.
he fights from the waist up. Just
there's a lot of close gunshots to the face.
Yes.
A lot of like a wrist twist to the gun pointing to his.
These are both brutal movies. I feel like obviously one of them will eventually be deemed the winner by Brian, but I think we can acknowledge like in different ways. It's like they're both stylish in different ways, but there's so much killing in both of these movies. We did not pick like a sad movie about the idea of revenge. We picked two movies where motherfuckers get dropped at like alarming rates, I feel like.
Yeah. See, what I need is somebody to die in the first 10 minutes. For a movie to pull me in, somebody got to die immediately.
Revenge movies or just any movies?
Any movie.
Any movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any movie where someone dies right away, and maybe I am talking about revenge movies because that's my favorite genre. Mm-hmm. But any movie where somebody dies immediately, you got me. Why? Why did it happen to them?
Okay, quick question. Then what if you had to choose a movie for this prompt? What would it have been?
And wait, hang on, because I fear
if it's not one of these.
You could not pick one of these two movies, let's just say for the sake of it, and you.
If I couldn't pick one of these two movies,
yeah.
Lucky Number 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. Leonard, have you seen
Quinn?
That?
Oh, I love Lucky Number 11.
I think what's so funny is you know how sometimes when a movie comes out and to no fanfare and it's just star-studded. This movie has Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, Sir Ben Kingsley, Lucy Liu, Josh Hartnett, and who else am I forgetting?
There's another big name in there.
Yeah, but it's like this movie just chock full of big names, and it was just I don't remember ever seeing a commercial for it or nothing. I just came across it one day. I didn't get to see it in theaters because I didn't even hear about it.
Oh wow, I saw it in theaters.
Man.
I remember seeing like a trailer for it, and I was like, I have to see this movie. And I bought it on DVD. I own it on DVD. Like, I love that movie. I haven't watched it in, like, damn near 10 years, probably.
It's so good. It's so good.
I remember every single thing about it. I'll let you borrow it, Quinn. That's why we do this podcast, because, me and,
But there's a close second.
What's that?
I like Layer Cake.
Oh, Layer Cake.
I haven't seen Layer Cake.
Wow.
James, I have seen Layer Cake. I have seen
both of y'all have some homework, dog. Because now Layer Cake isn't technically a revenge movie. I guess it depends on how you feel about the end, but it's like Layer Cake is one of those, I guess it's more gangster movie. I don't know.
Okay, Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci is also in
Stanley Tucci, yeah.
Yep.
Layer Cake I remember watching because I'd heard that obviously he was cast as James Bond, and people were like, "Oh, if you want to see Daniel Craig be like a tough guy, watch Layer Cake." And I watched it and I was like, "Oh yeah, this will work." Like Daniel Craig is very good in that movie.
Oh yeah, Daniel Craig, he's awesome.
Yeah, Quinn
there's so many good revenge movies, but those are my top ones.
Okay.
Well, if we had done it, that would have been interesting at Lucky Number 11 versus Layer Cake,
Oh, you could do that one. You could do that one day.
I want to keep going general since we're already at. I want to know, like, I'm not sure, Leonard. What do you think is the more interesting question? A theoretical, like, what could happen to you that you would like have give revenge, or like an example of taking revenge in real life in the petty ways that we do. Like, I'm interested in what our concepts of, like, what is worthy of revenge. Because I think in our movies, both things are worthy of revenge. But how far would we go ourselves?
There's an art to revenge.
Okay.
And to me, the price, the get back has to slightly exceed the grievance. You know what I'm saying? You can't be too far, because it's like if somebody like scratched your car, you can't like blow up their hometown. That's not really that's not interesting revenge to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
like they have to. The more they deserve it, the more I'm in. You know. But
So like if somebody scratched your car and let's say I knew they really love lemonade and I pissed in some lemonade that they was going to drink and then they drank it.
no, that's too far.
That's too far?
That's too far. I mean, because listen, once you break the inside your body barrier, that's that's taking it up a few notches to me. Like fucking with somebody's food or their money or their sleep. That's
Okay, here's the scenario.
Okay,
What
but
if
is the car a like Corolla or if it's like is it like a Ferrari? If somebody scratched your Ferrari.
Yeah, but if you can afford a Ferrari, a scratch ain't
Okay.
poisoning a motherfucker. You know?
also
Alright, I
did I
got you.
cop to it or did you see me do it and I was trying to get away with it and then you because if I told you, hey Leonard, what's up? I'm sorry, man, I scratched your car when I was backing in. That's my bad. And then you serve me piss lemonade later. I'm going to be like,
No,
that's not.
I'm not serving you.
no. That's
No.
So I'd
Yeah,
have to be.
So, but also, here's the thing. I grade because there's levels of revenge, and like the purest, the greatest revenge from all the movies I've seen. One, you have to get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Like the emotional revenge. I don't like that. Oh, now I'm sitting in prison because you did some fucked up shit 5 years ago. Fuck that. The whole goal is to get away with it. And a caveat, get away with it in such a way where they know it was you and there's nothing they can do about it. Ooh,
That's
chef's kiss
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah,
Only
that's what
they
you
know
want.
it was you and they can't prove it, so they just have to take the fucking punishment.
The way you just said it, this is not a movie that I would typically classify as a revenge movie, but the way that you framed it, do we feel that under those principles that like Ocean's 11 is technically a revenge movie? Because this guy dates George Clooney's wife, and he's like, I'm gonna rob all 3 casinos that you own, and you're gonna know it's me, and there ain't shit you can do about it. That's
think
pretty
that-
good revenge, I feel like, and that
Yeah, right.
the punishment. You know, to George Clooney, his wife is worth 3 casinos worth of loot. But to Andy Garcia, he's probably like, had I known, I would have backed out. I did not want the smoke just for dating Julia Roberts in 2001. And now I'm seeing that as a revenge.
But
movie.
again, doesn't that revenge go too far? Somebody's fucking your wife, so you,
I don't know.
so
Marital shit, man.
decide
When it
to
comes to
bankrupt
marriage.
him?
he wasn't bankrupt. He probably did bankrupt him.
I mean,
No, because it's
he had
insured. It's insured. He
Yeah,
gets the
you
money
know.
back.
But that goes to the other part. Now, when we talk about revenge movies, see, I think there's a difference between because Ocean's 11 is a heist movie
Yes.
with revenge as the catalyst. It doesn't really make it a revenge movie.
And
True.
that's funny you say that because we haven't done a heist movie yet. And I told Quinn before the season started that we have to do a heist movie.
I almost picked.
Also,
heist
no
as
one
my
dies.
category.
Oh wow! If you would have picked heist, I already know what I'm choosing. If we do it later, fuck it. It's the reveal. I'm doing Dead Presidents. Dead Presidents is gonna be my heist movie.
Shit, do a Dead Presidents versus Set It Off? No. No,
Ooh,
Dead
yeah, it would have to be a
Presidents
black heist movie.
is Dead Presidents the only black heist movie?
I mean, I guess Set It Off would also count as a black
Let's-
heist movie.
Let's make a black heist movie.
Yo, I'm down. So down.
Yeah, let's get
It's
Quentin
been a
Tar-
while.
let's get
It's been a
Quentin
while
Tarantino.
since there's been a black heist movie.
If you guys need a
Now
white,
that I think about
if
it.
you guys need a white
Wait,
villain,
all right, hold on. So wait, Django Unchained. That's a revenge,
that's a revenge
movie, right?
movie.
Kill Bill, Django Unchained.
Oh, fucking
Kill.
Bill. How
Yeah,
could I not bring
forget.
this up? Oh,
Yeah, we forgot
bruh,
about that.
That movie has a special place in my heart.
Okay, and you know what? You asked the question earlier, Quinn. Like, what would we do? Honestly, it's kind of weird, but there's a reason why I don't have children, and I don't ever plan on having. If I have children and somebody did something to my child, like, I feel like that would be something where I know I would have to get revenge on someone.
Yeah.
You saying you gonna go on some like Cain Velasquez shit and just
Probably, and that's why I'm not gonna have children because I know it would be a problem, and I
Leonard's-
don't want that in my life.
Leonard's
I
going
don't
to the
need-
police
I
station.
don't-
He's looking at the lineup. He's saying, I don't recognize any of them. And then he's following the one that he does recognize to his car afterward so that he's not looking for.
But
He's
see,
like, I
Kane
got-
did it wrong because he was too like. I'm gonna find a way to where I'm not going to jail, but I'm going to kill you. Like I'm doing
Yeah.
something to you, dog.
yeah, like I see, yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I don't even get close to the children in my family.
Yeah.
I'm like, holler at Uncle Brian when you 19, boy. So I don't want
Because you don't want to form a relationship, and then, God forbid, obviously, if something happened, you would feel that you'd have to revenge them. So you're like, I'm going to keep them at arm's length.
No, but you know what? Honestly, you still feel that with your nieces and nephews.
Yeah,
it's like they're a part of you. I haven't. My nieces and nephews would probably barely recognize me in a photo.
I have one nephew who
hurt somebody.
I have one nephew who I'm like close with, and that's all I need. Like, I don't need anything else because that's bad enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had a kid, I'd be. And everybody always makes fun of me because I was like, if I have a kid, they're going to be homeschooled at least until like 6th, 7th grade, where they know.
Well, not if anything. Well, if something happened to a kid close to in my family, my first question would be, well, what did you do to them? You know.
Yeah,
because that might be a that's what your ass gets situation.
But if a teacher does something to my kid, I'm fucking that teacher.
I had my grandma. They had to fucking pull her out of my school because of teacher. Because I was still a kid during corporal punishment, like when it was like the end of it, when teachers would still smack you with rulers and shit. You know? And I'm telling you, man, the teacher hit me. And the thing is, our teacher would hit people with the ruler all the time, just pap you on the hand, but this particular time, it was like unfair to me because I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She like saw something, made an assumption, and wasn't listening to me when I was telling the truth, and then hit me. And I like, bitch, who you fucking? I snatched that fucking ruler and snapped it in half. And they sent me to the principal's office, and then my grandma came up to school on 10, bro.
As she should.
Yeah.
As she should. All right, so
I'm more of a strongly worded letter guy. I think if you do something to me, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to clack away at the keyboard, I'm going to do a couple drafts because I don't want to come out too hot, and then I'm going to mail that thing. Well, actually, I'll probably wait the evening, wake up in the morning, read it, see if I still want to mail it. But if I still mail it, you better believe there's going to be some harsh language.
Well, you know what? I think that's probably the realest thing you would probably do, Quinn, because you're very calculated.
Yes.
And you're going to have to be very calculated. You're going to have to work hard because I feel like in these two movies, the revenge is so different.
Yeah, let's talk about Oldboy.
One, Oldboy, Odaisu, he was randomly just kidnapped.
Yeah.
Just randomly kidnapped, in prison for 15 years. They framed him. They murdered his wife and framed him for it.
I had to go back and watch that. They just dropped that like he's just watching the news. And
yeah, because you see him grab the glass.
His wife is dead. Yeah, I was like, well, because we never even see his wife.
No, his wife and kid are dead.
No, his kid is...
His kid turns out to be alive.
His kid is... He thinks she's adopted. He thinks she's been adopted to Stockholm or something. That's
right.
No, in the news thing, they're all dead.
Okay, so he's told that his wife is dead, his daughter is dead, his 4-year-old daughter who he never got to see grow up, dead. And then this motherfucker, they just let him out after 15 years, and then they start toying with the motherfucker like, yeah, we did this, now figure out why. Like, come on, bro. Like, it is... I mean, I understand your wife dying of cancer, and her knowing that she's dying and that you need some love and some comfort, and her getting you a dog before she dies and it comes after she dies and then someone kills that dog. I understand that. But just to have someone do this shit to you and you don't even know why and then tell you to figure out, and then when you figure out, it was revenge. The whole catalyst for this was revenge. Right, there's two different revenge stories.
He deserved it? Wow, yeah.
And I don't necessarily know if he deserved it. Because he just said it was some gossip shit.
He didn't deserve it.
It was some gossip. He didn't deserve it at all.
Yeah, you're saying if Odaisu deserves being in prison for 15 years and then everything else they do to him once he's out? Absolutely not.
He didn't deserve any of this shit. But in his I guess antagonist's mind, he did deserve it. So it's like it's two different revenge stories in one movie.
Wait a minute. Y'all don't think Odaisu deserved it?
He just said he off the cuff said,
Brian, remember me to never wrong you, man.
Hold on. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and reveal it. Odaisu is in prison because he catches a girl from his school having sex with her brother. Now, I don't think Odaisu knew that was her brother. He just said that she was having sex with some dude, and then this rumor got started that she was a slut, she was a whore, and she was having sex with all the dudes, and then she got pregnant. He transfers to another school, and he doesn't know about the stigma that he's created of the fallout, and then she kills herself. And the brother he's there when she kills herself, and he's been holding this grudge for his entire life because he truly loved his sister. And we learned that the man believes that this rumor or him speaking of this was the reason why she got pregnant, and that she eventually killed herself, which I think is insane. I don't know. I don't think he deserved it, man. I think he just off the cuff said he saw somebody getting fucked at the school.
Okay, yeah, but you're talking about his intentions.
Okay.
You're still responsible for the consequences of your actions. And his little gossiping and teasing is the reason she killed herself.
Well, that part I'm genuinely unclear of, because didn't he then tell his friend Hu Juan? I forget this, and then that dude was the one who spread it, and I'm like, why isn't he putting his friend in a box for 15 years? Like, he's taken out the guy, and I get it, he's the first link in the chain. Without him, none of the rest of it happens. That's fine. But when you said Leonard, it was like, did he even know? I thought he knew that it was her brother at least. But if he didn't even know it was her brother, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, basically. Like, yeah, he told his friend, but I don't know, wouldn't you tell anyone if you're like, I'm in high school, I just saw two people getting it on the table in the library. That's some hot shit. And then his friend's like, oh, actually, they're siblings. I'm going to tell everybody. Like, I'm not sure. There's a little bit vague from that. But let's just say that he's responsible for it. I still don't think he had all that shit coming to him.
I would say if anybody deserved it, it's Juwan deserved it because he was the one who's spreading the rumor. But I don't think the rumor of brother and sister fucking ever happened because it was never spoken of. Juwan would have said something. He was just like, oh, she was a slut. And the scene where he's like, I wish I could have got a piece. And he just murders him right then and there. Like, I was like, okay, well, this is the person who you should have been angry at the entire time. Not Odaisu, but Juwan.
And let's just go to let's reveal the big spoiler. At the end of the movie, I had not seen this movie until 2 a.m. this morning, by the way. So if you guys are like, what's been... Leonard texts me during the week, and he goes, heads up, this movie is hard to find. I'm going to rent it from the local library. Shout out to everyone's local library. Shout
out to that library.
I said, I will find this movie, Leonard. I don't need your help. Thanks very much. I'm not looking to build bridges with you. We're fighting each other this week, revenge movies. And then I was like drunk at 2 a.m., come back from the bar, and I was like, I got to watch the entire movie, Oldboy, which, by the way, I told someone at the bar, I was like, I got to go home, I got to watch Oldboy for a podcast tomorrow. And someone said, you will feel after you've watched this movie like someone is exacting revenge on you. Like, that is what the experience of watching this movie is like. And so I'm looking for it. I must have gone through like 24. I only measure things in dozens, Leonard. I must have gone through like 24 like like fake, streaming sites before I found one that had the English subtitles that was working. And so it was a very surreal experience watching that movie. And it was like 4 a.m. by the time you get to the end, and it is revealed
2-hour-long movie
that the love interest that Odaisu meets when he gets out of his prison and falls in love. First of all, he tries to, not to make any light of it, he tries to rape her. The first thing she brings him back to his apartment, he jumps into the bathroom and he tries to force himself on her, and she's got a knife and she fights him off, and then he goes, oh shit, I'm sorry. And then improbably they form a bond and a connection, and they have consensual sex, and it's raunchy. And at the end of the movie, Leonard, do you want to jump in? What?
Okay,
at
so
the end
this
of the
is
movie,
why I believe this is the ultimate revenge film. This man imprisoned him for 15 years, hypnotized him, hypnotized this girl. So when they come out, you're like, why? He's so much older.
Why
than
would
her.
she be interested
Why
in
would
him?
they ever be interested? Why would she ever? She's been hypnotized. He's been hypnotized.
I think she's a
to
virgin
fall in love
too.
with each other. Yeah, to fall in love with each other. She's been raised. She's been groomed. We find out that Odaisu's daughter was not killed, but she's been adopted and been groomed and being watched this whole time just so he could release Odaisu and have him fuck his own daughter. He falls in love with not just fuck his own daughter, but fall in love with his own daughter. And he reveals this. And when I say he, I mean the brother who the brother who is the brother of look at his, what is it, Lee Woo Jin. He's the brother of Lee Sua, and this entire time he's a depressed individual. Nothing is going on in his life. He loves his sister. His sister is gone, and the only thing that's been driving him for the last 15, 20, and I guess maybe 30 years, because it was like years had passed before he kidnapped him and imprisoned him.
Yeah, they did not.
So
look
this
the
man
same
had been
age.
waiting like this. I know that
Okay,
was
so
weird.
look, so I'm reading the thing. He did know it was his sister.
He did know.
He
okay,
did?
okay.
The rumors were about incest.
Okay.
So Brian, because Leonard, you did a good job summarizing it, but also I feel like we put the biggest news in the middle. Our hero, Odaisu, a guy who can take on and engage an entire hallway's worth of people and defeat them, has been having sex with his daughter, who he genuinely loves, not realizing it's his daughter.
And she loves him.
Brian, this is where, because they see started that. That's that. Man, that you are. I respect your cold. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to scratch your car. I don't want to cut you in line at the bank. This is.
I mean, are we at the point where I reveal which one is the winner?
Not yet.
No,
not yet. But I think talk to us.
I think we have an idea.
But you can talk to us about why you love the movie. Like, yeah, just say what you're going to say.
Listen,
Don't worry about it.
The thing is, look, it's revenge that sends a message.
Yeah.
Because
sends a message.
Because what he said is, when you were a teenager, you were willing to destroy my life because I was in love with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Now I forced you to be in love with somebody in your family so that you understand that it was something I couldn't help. You know what I mean? It's like you destroyed my life because you thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And now you in the same fucking predicament, and you can't even stand to be around yourself. You can't even stand it, to the point where you will pay this bitch to erase it out of your mind.
Which
you will cut your own tongue out of your mouth.
Yeah, well, he did that. He did that to keep him from hurting her.
Yeah,
because he was like, "I'll do anything, don't hurt her," and he cut his fucking tongue out.
That seemed to me to be the more fitting revenge, which is everyone told him you talk too much, and then at the end of the movie, he's like, "Let me cut my tongue out of my throat."
Well, he also, not only did he not want her to hurt her, but he didn't want her to hurt her emotionally. He didn't want her to know that he was her father. He didn't want to do that psychological.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, they were going to tell her,
and he didn't want her to know. And the reason why this revenge is so wild is Jin, the brother, who's the original act of revenge, his life has had no meaning. He doesn't, every waking moment of his life, he is thinking about his sister and thinking about this revenge. And as soon as he got his revenge, enacted it, he killed himself. He was like, all right, I did what I needed to do.
Peace out.
I'm dead.
And bro, and he was rich as hell, bro. That apartment was like the nicest apartment I ever seen.
Bro.
He also had a pacemaker put in. What did he have that put in because he needed it or because he wanted to? He had his own self-destruct button in his pacemaker.
He needed it, and I think he was like, while you're doing it, I want to be able to kill myself whenever I want to.
Yeah. I do.
So do you think he was driven to make all that money just so he could, like, he made all of that money just so he could pay to imprison Odaisu and enact his revenge?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is wild.
He built,
and then he killed himself so that Odaisu couldn't get revenge back on him.
Exactly.
He built the 7th and a half floor in that apartment building. He was taking Chinese takeout he was getting takeout every night, and then he was
And what's wild is he tells him, like, this remote will kill me. It'll end my pacemaker, and he drops it. He drops it on the ground for him to let him think that he's going to kill him. And when he presses the button, is the audio of him fucking his daughter. It's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, man.
Bruh, he fucked your whole world up. Oh my God.
Savage. I'm just saying, this, like, John Wick is an entertaining movie, but it's an action movie more than anything. It's like, they set it up at the beginning. Oh, he's sad, he's lonely. Oh, they kill his dog for no reason. Now I'm about to murder the entire Russian
I love the original
mafia.
John Wick though too, because
let's transition before we get into our categories, before we kind of creep toward the end when you can formally make your choice, Brian. Let's talk about John Wick. What was did you see this in theaters, Brian? When did you see this movie?
I did see it in theaters. I mean, I have the whole collection. I have all three.
Mm-hmm.
But I like John Wick because it has some of my favorite revenge tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, John Wick is a revenge movie.
Sure.
It's just as much a revenge movie as an action movie, and I haven't thought about exactly why, but some of my favorite revenge tropes and action movie tropes is the guy that's retired. He retired a long time ago, and then something makes him, open up the secret chamber, bust open the concrete in the basement, pull out his old tools.
That's a dope scene. That's
like
a dope ass scene.
If I ever make a revenge or action movie, that's gonna be part of it. Like the guy's he's gonna go down to the river and fucking dig up a bag, and it's got something in it that he's a master at that he swore off, and that's how he starts fucking people.
I love how his reputation precedes him in this first movie. Like everybody that he like runs into, like the guy that fixes his car, or even the cop that comes to the house when he's just like dropped like 20 dudes to try to infiltrate his house, and they're like, "So, Mr. Wick, you working again?" And he's like, "I don't know." Like there's like a cool. You don't. We see Keanu Reeves do a lot of killing, but before we see him do killing, just the air in which everyone treats him, like when the guy finds out you just took John Wick's car, you son of a bitch. Like don't keep that in my like. That stuff.
This man punched a Russian mob boss's son in the face. Like he didn't give a fuck. He was like, "Nah, bro." Like,
and I feel like the sequences. I mean, you're absolutely right, Len. I mean, it is an action movie for sure. But like that first spa sequence where he's like down, and there's that like kind of like nice kind of like alternative music, which goes really well with just him like stabbing people in the neck and their blood is fountaining over the like. There are great sequences of him just killing entire rooms of people, and it's a total suspension of disbelief, which I guess is not unlike the hallway fight in Oldboy. Like obviously we know he's been punching a motel wall for 15 years. That's not going to make you be able to engage 15 people with weapons.
I know.
So like there's fun stylized sequences in both of these movies, but I feel like that's the weird thing about revenge movies is like I think we all I'm not sure actually, maybe not, but I think we all think like revenge is something that we shouldn't want, but there's just like joy in a revenge movie of watching someone shake down the people who have wronged him violently. And both of these movies have that a lot.
Well, that's what speaks to you, where it's like, listen, people don't like to admit this, but being bad feels good.
In the moment, certainly, yeah.
And revenge, it speaks to that part of us that wants to be a good person, but also wants to do bad things. And so all we're waiting for is a reason.
I wish a nigga would.
Yeah, revenge gives you an excuse to be your worst self.
Yeah.
And all of us deep down, we're waiting for any excuse to be like I would never bash someone's fucking skull in with a lead pipe. But if I had a reason, I would enjoy it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I think it's similar to what you're saying, Brian. Revenge deals with like we live in a society of laws. Some laws make sense, some of them don't, whatever. But revenge deals with like biblical shit. Stuff that like laws cannot, putting someone in jail for the rest of their life is not going to satisfy me, the person who was wronged. And again, that's not a correct feeling to have. I think we've been educated, but like you say, in a world where, I've been wronged so much that I don't even care anymore about my mortal soul or what's technically right. Seeing people snap and seeing people kind of, and I think, the Batman movies deal with revenge, but those movies are about but it's not good to want revenge. These movies are like, get your revenge. Go ahead.
The new Batman movie is a revenge movie, right?
Yo, what's that movie with Michael Douglas where he just snapped?
Oh,
it's an old joint.
He's driving in the car.
Something.
He's sitting in traffic. Oh,
something cars.
He goes into a McDonald's and they fucking treat him bad, and he gets stuck in traffic. And then he just
falling down.
Falling down. Yeah.
I haven't actually watched that, and I need to watch it. I know all the tropes.
It's an old school joint, but it holds up.
Okay.
All right, Leonard, do we want to get into our 5 patented criteria? Brian, you're about to be swept off your feet by the way we're going to slice and dice these movies. We've talked about them generally, but now we're going to put them through our 5 criteria.
Okay.
The song remains the same. We've changed it slightly, but it's always number 1. Leonard, what's our first topic?
It is pop culture.
Pop culture. So this is when we're just continue talking about these movies, but what has had a bigger pop cultural influence, maybe a more significant. It doesn't always have to be like the most people know it, but like what are pop cultural things from either of these movies that we take away? John Wick, I think, a ton of stuff.
I think John Wick is probably, obviously, one is a Korean film, a foreign film, older film. I think John Wick has the much larger cultural influence. It's a newer film. I was just watching.
It's in English. That helps.
Yeah, it's in
English. It has Keanu Reeves, one of the biggest stars in the world.
I think I was watching Bust Down. I was watching some show, and they were like, "I'll John Wick your face." Like,
it's a verb.
Like, it's a verb now. Yep. So, like, it's got a pretty large cultural influence. They made 3 of them in like 4 or 5 years. So
I think also like that style of like fighting, like Charlize Theron made one. Like those it kind of influenced those types of like gun fu movies. Like when I first saw John Wick in theaters, I did not expect it to be good. I was just like, oh, this will be fun. Like watch Keanu kill some people. I hadn't heard about it.
Oh, you know the original gun fu movie?
Equilibrium. I have seen that. Oh, yeah. But there's a.
It got buried because it came out too close to the Matrix, and it was kind of very. It was a similar aesthetic where people compared them, even though you're not the same kind of movie. But they literally invented the gun kata.
And it's satisfying. Like I am not a big video game guy, but like there is something about watching John Wick double tap all of it. Like he'll shoot you in the leg and then he'll get you down, and then he will make sure that he goes back up to you in quick succession and just put a bullet between your eyes. Like there's something about him like so systematically, like efficiently killing all these people. Once John Wick decides he's back and he's going for it, I never once thought he was in trouble. I was just like, it's very satisfying just watching him mow down entire rooms, spas, nightclubs worth of people. And there's something sick about that. And yet there's also something very fun. I feel like that kind of like, I think it's inspired action movies in the half decade since that first one came out. I think we see a lot more movies that look like John Wick.
I just think it's funny. I would think it'd be funny if there was like some person who was like this great assassin, had all these skills, but their threshold for pain was so low. Like this motherfucker John Wick was falling out of buildings and like getting stabbed and getting punched where he just got stitched, and he was fine. Like
I know,
usually you equate like an assassin or some badass person with also having a high threshold for pain, but like what if they're like this badass person but they got punched? They're like, oh.
Also, like,
I don't know.
I guess for pop culture, I don't know, but like, shout out to the rest of the cast we haven't mentioned. Like, Ian McShane from Deadwood plays a great like Jonathan, like the head of the hotel. Willem Dafoe is in this movie.
Willem Dafoe.
It's just I don't know. I mean, I guess the pop cultural signifiers from John Wick are obvious. I do think Oldboy has some stuff.
It's more of a cult following,
but it's culty.
Like. It's more of a like, yeah.
Is there anything from Oldboy that you use in your day-to-day, Brian? Do you have someone in a long-term prison situation right now? I don't know. Is it inspired?
Anything that I use?
I don't know. I guess I'm saying, like, I'm trying to think if there's a line. Having just seen the movie last night, it's fresh for me, but that's also makes it harder for me to see.
Quotable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know one. When he says like, and they didn't come up with this, but I like if you laugh, the world laughs with you. When you weep alone. Like there's stuff like that feels, a lot of like old school revenge thoughts and sort of stuff like that. The hallway scene. The fucking hallway scene.
But the hallway scene is pretty fucking epic.
The hammer.
Yeah, they did that in the Daredevil Netflix show. Like people have been doing their own takes on the hallway scene. I feel like even John Wick does like long takes.
With this director, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Is it
Sun Park?
I got it.
Park Chan-wook.
Park Chan-wook. Oh, yeah. So Park Chan-wook, he's a pioneer, man. He did because a lot of people don't realize Oldboy is part of a trilogy.
Oh.
It's a revenge trilogy. There's one Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance or Sympathy
for
Lady Vengeance.
You have it. It's I've seen the first one. I've seen Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, which was the first. Oldboy's the second, and then the third one is Lady Vengeance, which I haven't seen. But yes, it's a trilogy.
Okay, yeah.
Like in non-connected films, but they're connected. It's a trilogy because they all deal with revenge. And Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is also fucked up and also really. Have you seen all three of them, Brian?
Yeah. I have. Yeah, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is like, it
is.
Interesting.
It's
like they try to kidnap a kid for money, and then the kid dies, and then the father's like, "Well, I'm dropping all you motherfucker." And it stars the guy from, oh man, what's that it won the Oscar for best foreign, or won best picture. Parasite. It stars the main guy from Parasite. It's a great
Parasite,
movie.
Yeah, the main guy from Parasite is Song Kang-ho.
I think you have
Song
that correct.
Kang-ho,
Yes. Park Chan-wook is a incredible director. I mean, there's sequences, the hallway fight. I mean, there's sequences in Oldboy that are like just visually stunning and very upsetting. He gets violence very right. I think John Wick is a totally different kind of violence. John Wick is like, and again, people have different thresholds, but like John Wick is like cool violence, video game violence. It's all, none of it's real. He just got thrown off the first story of he just got thrown down the nightclub onto the dance floor, and he should have broken his back, but he just stands right up. Like, you feel the cuts and the hits in Oldboy. That shit is visceral.
Yeah, it's very visceral. There were a couple times where I was just like, "Fuck!" Like I had to look away a couple times.
I do think the hallway the hallway fight is, I think, the like lasting pop culture signifier from that movie, though, right? I feel like you can see that influence even today.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just love that when like the elevator opens, they just like all fall out.
Yeah,
it was so ridiculous.
Also, I'll give it one more throwback to John Wick. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back is a key, like that's one of the best Keanu lines, and that's also, I just feel like that's a heavily quoted line from John Wick.
All right, well, let's go on to the second topic. How well do these movies hold up? I think this is a quick one. John Wick, it's still, it just came out like 7 years ago, so it looks good. It's clean. There's nothing really problematic about it. I think it's pretty good.
I mean, neither of these movies hold up in terms of like proper society, but yes, I think they both still look good, and they both still, It's hard to say like, well, this movie where a guy accidentally has sex with his daughter holds up well, but it's like that's the point of the movie then, and it's the point of the movie now. So it's honestly kind of Oedipal. Like there's something about it that story, as fucked up as it is, has been told for thousands of years.
Here's another thing too that I forgot about the Oldboy thing, about whether him deserving it. Don't forget that his first task when he got out was to find out who. And he made a long ass list of people that he was wrong.
He had books. He had books of people.
He had been a fucking piece of shit to so many people that he couldn't even figure out the person that hated him.
I do love that scene where he sees him, but he doesn't recognize him yet, or he doesn't remember him, and he just gives a name of all the guys that could wrong him, and it's like 12 names deep. Like he's just, or it could be this guy, or this guy, or this guy, and it's like, you got a problem if you have this many enemies. It's like Steve Buscemi in Happy or in Billy Madison, where he just keeps the list, and then Adam Sandler calls him one day and he scratches his name off the list.
Like nigga, I know if somebody kidnapped me and kept me in a hotel room for 15 years, and then I found out it was revenge from somebody from my past, I would know exactly who the fuck it was.
Okay, all right. Quick question then. You get out. I mean, you're in prison for 15 years. You're in the whole situation, and you're let out. What is the first thing you're doing?
Oh, probably hit up.
Oh, like I wake up,
wake up out of the suitcase
like he did.
The dude.
Oh, I'm getting off the roof. See, even in his. So we left this part out too, because you don't like this guy. The only reason you're following Odesu is because you want to know what the fuck happened too. But he's a piece of shit. Jump. Even after all that, he wakes up on the roof. And there's another man up there with him that had been in the same situation. And Odesu like he's the first person he's got to interact with. And Odesu gets his whole story off his chest. and then as soon as this guy starts to talk,
he's like, it's my turn to tell you my story. And he's like, nah, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. And then that guy jumps off the fucking roof because he can't bear it. That's not Odesu's responsibility.
But also,
either.
the dude tried to kill himself, and he stopped the dude from killing himself so he could tell him his story. Yeah. And then he let him kill himself.
Why'd that guy get a dog? Why'd they have to do that? It feels like this movie just like adds shit to make things even slightly worse. Like that, all this movie is doing is like, this isn't bad enough. Give that guy a poodle to jump off the fucking roof with. It's like, no. It wasn't a poodle.
But
it was
it,
some other
it just
dog.
has to suck, like, sitting in this room and you have television, so you're, like, getting to see the world pass you by. Like, you're seeing what's happening in the world and just, like, not experiencing it. I don't know if would you rather have had the TV and known, like,
give me
what
the
was
TV.
happening in the world
Give me
passing,
the TV.
or not know?
I'm going crazy without
Please
the TV.
give me the TV.
I don't care if the only
Yeah,
news
bro,
report on the
please
TV is about how my wife died. I'm like, it's something to watch. It's something to watch.
All I know is if I'm watching the TV, I'm in there for 15 years and they let me out, the first thing I'm doing is I got to try that McRib. What that McRib tastes like. Because, I've been seeing these commercials for that McRib and it looked crazy. I got to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously everyone would do the same thing. You're immediately seeking pleasure and relief. Like, you're trying to get late, you're trying to eat some food, you're trying to take a hot shower.
I'd probably hit up Chipotle. I'd be like, where's the nearest Chipotle?
when-
All right, let me go. And then I'll...
When he's in the elevator with that woman, like, he hasn't interacted with another human being in 15
Oh, my God.
years,
Yeah, and
bro.
he's literally holding himself against the side of the elevator like, ugh.
Just like all the little
dog.
things about this movie, just like, damn, this feels so real.
I
It
mean,
feels
this
so
is like
good.
this movie is insane. Like, every time I'd be like, I think I'm on this movie's tempo. I think I got the level. They just throw shit at you that is just you don't see coming. I respect the hell out of it. I think
All right,
that
well,
we can
coming
move on from how they held
to
it.
our third
Yeah.
and our most important. Some people would say the most important.
I would say so.
Was Regina Hall in either one of these movies?
Regina Hall was not in John Wick. She should have been in John Wick. I think she would have been good in
She
John
could have
Wick.
been. There were no black people in John Wick.
There are no black people in Oldboy.
There are no black people in Oldboy.
No.
So
There are no black people in either of these universes. No, actually, no. There's one black person in John Wick.
does he kill him?
The hotel. Yeah. No. The
Oh,
hotel,
yes. Lance Reddick.
I'm tripping. And the old school assassin he has watch old girl instead of just killing her, and she just murks him. I'm like, God damn it, man. What's his name from The Wire?
Yes,
from the
Lance
Wire.
Reddick. How could we forget about
yeah.
Lance Reddick? He has the best baritone in the business. I feel like. Is he doing an accent in this movie? I'll be honest. I've seen John Wick a bunch. I didn't rewatch it, but does he? He does like a slight accent, right?
Well, that's another one of my favorite action revenge movie tropes. Is the wise old black dude that's not afraid of the guy?
Yeah.
Where he's like, don't be coming around here with your bullshit, world class assassin.
He's like, will you be staying long, Mr. Wick, or something? And it's just like, no, I don't think so. Like, I like I know what you're about. You're about to do some killing. And he's like, I
All the
might not.
language.
I might just be seeing the
It's
city.
funny all the different like jargon that they have that means different things.
Yeah.
If Regina Hall is in this movie, I can see her as the female assassin.
I was gonna say I'd probably replace the female assassin.
Yeah.
I forget her name.
Probably the female assassin in John Wick. And I don't know where Regina Hall fits at all. Maybe Regina Hall is the hypnotized lady, the hypnotism lady.
Maybe she's his daughter.
Oldboy.
And he's like, I really did not think this was how this was going to go. But yeah, we like to give a shout out to character actors that show up in a lot of movies. Hopefully, they'll show up in one of ours. Regina Hall. Yeah. The season is young.
This season is Regina Hall.
Yeah,
she could show up.
She could show up. I'm sure she'll show up. Probably not.
I mean,
okay.
I always choose black films, so she might show up.
I may have seen as many Regina Hall movies as you, Leonard. We'll get down to it.
Honestly.
Let's move on to number 4, stats, box office, reviews, whatever. I feel like both of these movies, Oldboy's got to be polarizing from a review standpoint. I feel like there's got to be some people that are like, ew, and they just gave it a bad review. Whereas John Wick, I guess people don't really like. There's excessive gun violence and just violence in general, but I feel like that was a pretty favorably received movie.
John Wick made $86 million in the box office.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a surprise hit too. It was like a sleeper. Like
that's a pretty good. I don't know. I'm not seeing the budget, but it's an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.4 on IMDb. 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty damn high.
Pretty high.
I mean, for what it is, it's a great movie. Like, it's a very simple movie.
Rotten Tomatoes calls it a mystery. What's the fucking mystery in John Wick? It's no mystery.
He knows who killed his
Everything
dog.
is pretty clearly stated.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Obviously the
Yeah, Leonard.
Yeah, I know.
old boy.
Let's hear it.
Obviously is not going to do as well in the box office. It came out in 2003, but it was released in 2005 in America. It made $15 million.
We needed 2 years to process that movie.
Yeah, it made $15 million in America. It is a 81% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But not 94% audience.
Oh, 94% audience. Yep, it is
Okay.
94% audience. And on IMDb, it's an 8.4.
A lot of lovers of incest on IMDb. You can't trust those numbers. A lot of
audience score for John Wick is
lot of
81%,
cousin
so
fuckers
that's
on
a little
IMDb.
surprising. All I'm saying is the audience knows what they want. This is
the customer's always right.
The customer's
And the 2013 one is a 5.7.
Wow.
Yeah, can we talk just for 2 seconds about the Spike
let's
Lee
talk
movie?
2
Why did
seconds
Spike
about the
Lee? And if he did it, I thought he might do, which is totally cool. Like, it's confusing that Spike Lee made it. It's confusing that he cast Josh Brolin and not like Denzel or someone who's been in some revenge movies, who's more of a known Spike Lee
I
collaborator.
think Spike Lee wanted it to be like, hey, there's incest in this film. It's got to be white
It's not gonna be
people.
Denzel.
It's got to be white people if it's incest. But
No, bro, but what I don't get is because he could have really put this movie was already so
Yeah.
perfect that all he had to do was. Have y'all ever seen? It's a I don't know what to call it, a daytime horror film with I forget the name of it, but it's like two white boys that just have they're wearing like golf clothes, like caddies.
Shit, I think I know what you're talking about, and it's like a remake of a Swedish movie or something. But
It's a remake of a German
okay, yeah. Let me, I can find it, but keep talking about
what
it.
the fuck is the name of it? I think it's called like Bad People or something like that. Very bad. No. But the point is, if you could play the American one and the original side by side, and it's perfect shot for shot.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do with Oldboy. It was already
Yeah.
perfect. Like anything you changed, it would just make it worse. I mean, there's some things because I get that they were trying to make it so because they knew the audience was going to come out for the American one, where they'd be the fans of the original. So they wanted to throw some twist in there for you that you weren't expecting. But no. Because if they had just made it exact for shot for shot, that movie would have blown shit out like Parasite. It would have blown everything out of the fucking water. Everybody would have been talking about it. I don't know why.
You're right, Brian. It's a German movie. The movie you're referring to is called Funny Games, and it was written and directed by the same guy, Michael Haneke. He's a German director. Both versions. So he remade his own movie in English, and he made it exactly the same. Like, it's weird. He must have just been like you say, it's perfect the first time. If they want it in English, I'll just do it exactly the same way. Like, that's an interesting choice. Did you guys see the Spike? You guys seen the Spike version of Oldboy? Because I would be like, is Josh Brolin having sex with his daughter in that movie, or did they make it less extreme?
No. I don't even think. Is it even about incest? I mean, it was. They tiptoed around.
Okay.
They tiptoed around a lot of things that the other movie just said.
I had read the reviews and heard from people enough. There was enough negative response that I was like, I'm not watching this.
Well, no, because basically what they did was it was about incest, but it was their father was doing stuff to both of them. Instead of the brother and sister fucking each other, their father would make them do things or something like that. So like they weren't in love with it. He wasn't
then
in
that
love with
ruins
his
the
sister.
whole.
Yeah, kind of.
So it ruins exactly. So it's like because they changed that, they had to change all the other stuff. So you didn't feel the same feelings about everything.
I'm just saying, if someone catches you getting it on with your sister, just do what Game of Thrones people did. Just push him out a high window, and then it's a lot simpler. You don't have to spend so much money, and I think that's cleaner. And I understand it more in the moment.
Hey kids, stop being nosy.
For real, dog.
So if you went to your mom, if you were like back when you were younger, Brian, and you went to your mom and you're like, I just saw a brother and sister having sex, and then they saw me and I ran away and I told everyone at school about it, and now I'm worried they're gonna try to avenge this wrong. Would your mom just be like, you fucked up, like you shouldn't? Why'd you fucking do that? Or would she be understanding?
Oh, like if I told
if you're telling your mom in the same way that you used to say, this guy pushed you, and then she's like, well, what'd you do first? Like, would she say, like, well, you shouldn't have been looking in that window? I'm saying,
Oh, back in the day, my mom would have been like, mind your motherfucking business. What you doing peeping in people's windows?
And why you telling me?
Yeah, that
yeah.
shit
Now I'm involved in this. Don't tell me that shit.
Right.
Okay, Leonard. Let's ease right into it. I think we know which way this is going.
The final arguments.
These are our final arguments. Brian, Leonard, and I are going to say our last piece for both of these films, and then you will be able to finally reveal your pick. Leonard, you go first.
I'll go first. I heard some things earlier that were going to be my argument, and my argument is John Wick. Yes, it's a revenge film, but the revenge, it's a lot more. There isn't much depth to it, and it's more of an action film. Quinn has this issue where he will pick a film for a prompt, but it turns out to be an action film, really. But you know, John Wick, it's fun, it's streamlined, it's cool, it's made for the masses. Oldboy is a revenge film through and through. The catalyst in the whole beginning, the reason why the film is there is we think it's from the protagonist's point of view, but it's from the antagonist. We think we're watching a man try to get revenge on something that is done with him, and he is. But the reason why he's putting in this situation is because someone's getting revenge on him. And it's like revenge. It's dirty. It's grimy. It's visceral. It's hard to watch. And there was way more depth. There was way more feeling to the revenge in this film. This man had been in prison wrongly to what his thought. He thought his wife had been killed. His daughter had been killed. Then he finds out he's having sex with his daughter, and then he finds out that some words that he spoke caused this man to do all of this to him. So when you look at it, every character in this film wants revenge, and it's fucked up. It's hard to watch, and it's something at the end of this movie you don't necessarily feel good. And when the chips fall, when sometimes you get vengeance, after the aftermath of it isn't always positive. And I feel like this movie represents all of that. I just feel like, you know, John Wick for sure is a revenge film, and it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. But when you want to talk about real revenge and vengeance, I think you got to choose Oldboy.
All right. Well stated, Leonard. Let's see what I got here. What's there to say about Oldboy that can't be used against you in a court of law? If in sports a tie is like kissing your sister, then this revenge movie about having sex with your child is it's even more painful than a tie. I watched this movie. I think I have to speak about it. Like, forget about the movies. Everything you said about John Wick is right. By the way, though, I'll quibble on one point. An action movie can be an action movie while being something else. Because you were bringing that up a couple times, I just IMDb'd Oldboy, and the first thing they have it tagged as, the first thing is action movie. Okay. There's action scenes.
Well,
I agree.
Wrong.
But let's pretend that hallway fight,
action.
that's not nothing. That's one of the most groundbreaking action scenes I've seen.
Right, but that's one scene. I don't think he
they
fights
put it
anybody
out
after
there,
that.
but I'm not going to win this, so I'm just gonna use my. Did you guys? I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live. I promise this is this guy. He hosted Saturday Night Live like 5 years ago, and there's this sketch that I have watched a bunch of times since, and I'm still surprised The Rock said okay to. And the sketch is it's a bunch of supervillains meeting in a lair and pitching their most evil idea in the world, and that's the premise of the sketch. And everybody looks like a Batman supervillain, like they look crazy and done up and kooky, and they go up, and one person's got a shrink ray, and the other person has an ice beam, and the other person has all these different things, right? And then The Rock comes up and he goes, oh, it's my turn. And he looks like a normal guy. He's not crazy like the rest of them. He's just got like a lab coat on. And The Rock comes up and he goes, oh, this is a robot that I built that molests children. And then everybody in the supervillain squad is like, "What? Gross! What the hell?" And he goes, "Well, we're doing evil stuff, right? Like, this is the most evil shit. I made a robot that molests children at a far faster rate than a human could ever do it." And then they're just like, "You gotta check out this guy. I think it's like Dr. Dement. I don't even know." But the SNL sketch is how I felt when I gave you John Wick. I was like, I'm gonna revenge movie John Wick. They kill his puppy. He fucking gets all those motherfuckers back. And then Leonard chooses Oldboy, which just felt like I brought a knife to a nuclear war. Like, I was just like, I don't. There's two types of revenge. There's like the happy-go-lucky, like, I want to see this guy just kick a lot of ass, and then there is like psychological, you are having sex with your daughter, sir, revenge. So if I was supposed to ever find any kind of movie that could compete with that, I'm not sure where to look, and I don't want to know where to look. So
bro, that's the absolute. Oldboy is the absolute nuclear.
It is. I feel like
that. Like that's nuke level, where it's like, I hypnotized you and your daughter to fall in love with each other. I kept you in prison for 15 years. I let you out for no reason. And first I made you figure out who I was. And then when you finally did, you couldn't even kill me because you still didn't know why. So then I had to let you figure out why. And then after you figured out why, I killed myself and then told you that you've been fucking your daughter. Bye. Oh, man, that's nothing tops that. Nothing tops that. It's just not even. It's not even close. Like, and so that's why. See, when Leonard first hit me up, he didn't tell me that y'all were picking, that you were each picking movies, and I would have to decide. So when he sent me Oldboy and John Wick, I was like, are these the only two? Like that's not even the same.
I feel I should say in my defense, I picked first. So again, that's like I took out my switchblade, and I'm like, I got you now, motherfucker. And then Leonard just takes out a rocket launcher. I'm just.
It's like y'all were like, our podcast is about our favorite quarterbacks, and then he's like Tom Brady, and then you're like Ryan Leaf, whatever. And I was like, okay, I guess we can do this, and I can try to pretend this whole time like this isn't a ridiculous comparison.
What if Quinn had chosen Kill Bill? Would there have been any?
That would have been tough. That's a tough one.
Okay,
I think Oldboy still would win, but Kill Bill, because the thing is, here's what it is. Bill deserved the revenge way more than Odessa.
True.
But the bride's revenge was not nearly as elaborate and final as the Oldboy joint. So so that's why I say Kill Bill was one of my favorite revenge movies and action movies. But the revenge was not quite as thorough as.
And it's like, not only did my man kill himself, but then he left him alive where he has no connection with anyone else in the world except for his own daughter who he's in love with.
Have you guys?
So it's like, do you give that up, or do you keep? He had to hypnotize himself to not know that was his daughter to live happily.
And that's that other line in the movie that reoccurs, and I'm gonna butcher it, but he says, like, though I am a beast, do I not deserve, like, happiness or something like that? And I'm like, no. Like, if I found out that I was in the similar situation at that point, I wouldn't just cut out I'd be like, I'm going to kill myself. But
no, wait a minute. Doesn't he kill himself?
No. He tries to hypnotize himself to forget, but then the movie is left ambiguous as to whether or not that had even actually happened. And the movie ends on his face. Right. And it looks kind of pained, and I took away from that, and it is ambiguous that he knows. And if he's going to continue living this life, he's going to know what he's doing, which is like, I don't fuck with that. I'm not on board. I don't ship that relationship.
But think about him. He has nothing.
I don't give a shit, Leonard. I don't give a shit. Okay, get out and fucking start a new life.
Wait a minute. But why not have her hypnotize you?
That's what he was trying to do, but it was left ambiguous as to whether or not he was ever even able to find that woman again, the hypnotist. Because there's a whole shot, and again, I know this because I watched it for it. There's only one set of footprints in the snow, which would lead you to believe that he was just out there by himself. She was never.
Okay.
But it's vague. Because she did say, "Who were you talking to?" So he's either crazy, which would be understandable. Have you guys ever seen the movie Blue Ruin? I'm thinking.
No.
I'm thinking now of all the movies I should have picked better. That's a great movie about revenge.
That was the sloppy revenge.
That's like kind of Appalachian revenge or wherever they're from. That's like two feuding families just like getting back at each other. But
Yeah, see, I don't like that movie because I'm not a fan of bumbling. Anytime there's like a bumbling idiot or a bumbling fighter, or I can't stand it. It drives me.
Okay,
I don't
so
like that at all. Just nobody.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Brian, and say that you've chosen Oldboy. You picking Oldboy.
Oh, absolutely.
No,
you did it exactly right. We
need
need to officially. I got to take my lumps. I got to go in myself for 15 years.
Yeah, but this is one you lost this one before it even started. There's no way that John Wick is anywhere near.
I feel kind of bad because I knew I picked a banger, but I also knew you had never seen Oldboy.
Yeah,
so
I'm happy to have.
right,
Well, I don't know if I'm happy to have seen it, but I do feel like I experienced something. I also actually prefer to know going in that I've lost because I don't get all anxious about it. And Leonard, I won the first episode all 3 times I lost the final season, so I'm not even sweating.
I was just about to say, this is the first time I've won the first episode.
You just drew first blood, and now I will exact revenge upon you for the rest of this season. So I'm not even worried about it. But this has been very fun. I've never had so much fun talking about incest in my life. Brian, thank you for being on, man. This was a blast. And thank you for asking this prompt. It's very fun.
You know what's so funny is we argued about whether it was a revenge movie or an action movie, but no one batted an eye about whether it was
it's an incest movie.
It's an incest movie.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, Leonard, don't be all, well, John Wick's technically action. I'm like, motherfucker, it's an incest movie first and foremost. The revenge just comes.
You don't know it's an incest movie until the last 25
but then you never forget.
But then you never forget.
You will always know after that. Yeah.
Brian, where can the people find you? Where can they find you?
I'm BS Comedian on all platforms. I'm episode 1, season 3 of the Standups on Netflix. And you can go to briansimpsoncomedy.com and check out my tour dates.
You got a podcast too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Podcast just relaunched, BS with Brian Simpson. It's on all platforms as well as YouTube, Spotify, all that.
Yeah, man. Brian's great. Very insightful.
Hit
very
Brian
funny.
up on his socials. Talk to him about incest. Just throw him incest questions at him. He'll engage.
Yep. Whatever you want. I got all the answers.
I want to actually pitch you like further. I think people should pitch you further revenge scenarios, and you can weigh in on whether or not they're deserved. Because that was my favorite part, where you're just like, "Well, let me make a case for why Odesu had this coming." You made the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of that guy.
I don't think anyone is.
This has been a blast. Season 5 is off to a great start. We look forward to coming back to you every week with new episodes, new prompts. Until that time, I've been Quinn. This has been Leonard. We will see you at the cinema. Probably not. I'm not going to take like my family to